Yo guys, this is Nate, and I'm back for another audio commentary for WCRplays.com. And today, as popular request, I will be bringing you guys a 2 versus 2 commentary. So, let me go ahead and get this replay opened up. Now, if I remember, I'm going to pause this game and put it under half speed at some point, and also go over my hotkeying and so forth. So, let's go ahead and get this open. This game was for Shoutcast a couple days ago, I think. And the teams are Volander and Anklier as Dual Orc versus me, Woa, Slide, and Dimensions as Undead and Random. And there's a whole bunch of observers. And Rails was casting this game, I think. So let's pause this game at 15 seconds and put it under my or under Dimensions vision, and with Fog of War on. So hopefully you guys have reached 15 seconds by now, so let's unpause in 3, 2, 1, unpause. Now, in 2 versus 2, I've got a slightly different setup usually for my hotkeys, also depending on the heroes that I use. But in general, if I'll only go one of 2 heroes in 2 versus 2, which is either Death Knight or Crypt Lord. If I go for the Death Knight, I will almost always, at least until I exceed my first group, place my Fiends in the group with my Death Knight, and this is basically just to allow for easier healing. And even later on, I may just add extra groups like 5 and 6, which are hotkeys I don't use as much, and I'll just put Death Knight with Fiends for easier healing, although I don't use them that much. And if I'm going Crypt Lord, I will generally put the Fiends in Group 2 and the Crypt Lord and Beetles, statues, and heroes and so forth all in Group 1. And this is to really take advantage of formation. Now, if you put them all in the same group, they will form up correctly. But the problem with that is that the whole group, goes slow and it's not very maneuverable. And it's good to do, but it's also advantageous to put them in separate groups, and basically you can position your groups very effectively so that your Crypt Lord and Beetles and everything all spread out in the front and your Fiends are in the back. And Fiends are incredibly effective when they aren't getting hit and when they're actually able to go into formation. They're like archers, sitting behind a Beastmaster. So in this game I decided to go Crypt Lord simply because our opponents are Dual Orc, and I know that if they both go Grunts, we're going to be in a lot of trouble. If I go Death Knight, sure, we can nuke their heroes, but as you'll see, one of them goes Tauren Chieftain anyway, which isn't so easy to nuke, and basically we're going to need some tanks. And Dimension went Farseer, and he's massing Grunts, but that may not be enough to hold them back. So I'm going for Crypt Lord, and I'm getting Spirit Tower here in case they rush me. I'm getting Spirit Tower a lot more than Nerubian Tower, simply because it just becomes a lot more effective later on in the game. And the only time I've really been getting Nerubian Tower is against solo hero harassment is really the best thing to get it against. Now, our goal here is basically for Dimensions to just harass them, do whatever he can, and I'm going to try and take advantage of my creeping. I put up a Tumor Relics and a couple Crypts, and I'm going to pump out Fiends. It's not really the best build order, but it lets you do really powerful creeping, especially with the Crypt Lord. So that's my goal here, basically. Now, unfortunately, I don't really creep very carefully, as you'll see, and that really sets us back. Now, you see already, Dimensions is technically a Tier 2. It's really not a good idea against Dual Orc. I would say, get 4 or 5 Grunts before attacking to Tier 2 if you're in this kind of situation, because otherwise you can be in a lot of trouble. As you see, I already started attacking as well. And I only have... No, I have no Fiends out at the moment. So now, you can basically take any orange spot on a map with 5 Beetles, Crypt Lord, and Skeleton Warriors. But it's also good to have a Fiend or 2 and have all 5 of your Beetles in and everything. So I'm definitely going to be losing a lot by creeping this spot. And although it'll get me level 2 immediately, it's not necessarily really worth it. But, you know, the idea is to power creep, so it probably would have been a much better idea to simply not have used my skeletons so early, crept that little green spot, and by the time I finished with that, I would have had 1-2 fiends, and then I could have gone and creeped this much more effectively, and really using the Crippler as a tank the way he's supposed to be for your damage dealers in the back. Now, the reason this is such a big error is because now Balllander is coming at me, and I just used up all my my beetles and skeletons, so I've lost a lot of the meat. Now I say act because, well, I'm in trouble. Now I don't want Dimension to TP in, although I think he does. The reason I don't want him to TP in is because he can walk here quickly enough, and he's not, and Balllander isn't trying to get at my acolytes. If he's going for my acolytes, I'd want him to TP in because you can TP in right on top of him. But like this, I can hold him off. I'm okay. I'm not really losing much except my ghouls. But too late. He TP's in. So now we can push him back. I mean, it's not necessarily a bad move to TP in, I guess, but we don't actually kill anything. And now, right here is where we realize we're in big trouble. And let's get ready to slow it down to 1/2 speed. So get ready, guys. I'll count down and then hit the 1/2 speed. So 3, 2, 1, 1/2 speed. Okay. Now, at this point, we realize we're in a lot of trouble because basically there's a ton of grunts, and we both tech real quick. I've only got like 2 fiends, and we know we're going to have a big problem here. Now, you'll notice that Dimensions is trying to stay on the ramp, and that's very important. If we can hold the ramp, which is really the key strategic advantage on this map, then we can stay alive. Basically, because my fiends will not be very vulnerable, and so clearly the ramp is a strategic position, and that's really our best bet. Our other option really is to back all the way into my base, enough so that my towers can hit them, but that's much riskier and much less maneuverable, and it's important to have maneuverability. Now there's no point in even really focus firing since I don't have enough units. So I'm just kind of A-clicking and trying to micro away whichever units are getting focused. And kind of not doing that much. I was not playing that great at this point in the game, clearly. Now, let's go ahead and speed this back up, and then we'll slow it down again when I've got a few more fiends. I can show you guys how I can position that stuff. So let's speed back up in 3, 2, 1, normal speed. Alright, now, I've also got a problem here in that my Crypt Lord is pretty heavily injured. So I need that Death Knight, but until I get that Death Knight, we need that tank. And clearly the Crypt Lord was a good call in this game, and as you can see, it's very important to have a strong tank against that many melee units. But at this point, we really are in a lot of trouble. And Anklier and Balllander are definitely doing the right thing, which is trying to push in, but what they really need is a couple of Demolishers, and then we'd be in a lot of trouble. So without the Demolishers, they can't really push into my base, per se. Now at this point, I'm just trying to mass up fiends, because I know if I can get 5, 6, 7 fiends, then I can really start killing those grunts very effectively with focus fire. So that's basically my goal, and also to get a couple statues, because with statues, all of a sudden, Dimensions grunts become much more effective. So let's get ready to slow down to 1/2 speed again. Okay, get ready, guys. So 3, 2, 1, half speed. Alright, now Dimensions just lost his farce here, but that's because it was crap, basically. But if you take a look at my units, basically I've got my fiends in the back. I've got 5 fiends at this point, and I've separated my groups. So my groups are basically Crypt Lord, Death Knight, my skeletons, and my beetles all in group 1, just A-clicking. And I don't even control my beetles and skeletons and stuff. I just control my 2 heroes with the F keys. And I'm focus firing with my fiends, if I'll remember. And so I'm using the Alt button, and then I'm just picking out whichever grunt is at the lowest health, and then I'm focus firing with the fiends. But I'm also being very careful that my fiends don't walk up to target the unit. And you can see that Volander's making a good move here, and that he came around the side, and he's past that wall that we formed, and now my fiends are very vulnerable and pretty much useless where they are right now. They're just going to get massacred. So now this skeleton rod dimension got really makes us not lose at this point. Those skeletons are so good. And I mean, I always try and buy them. If you have like 3 heroes and 3 skeleton rods on there, it's just insane how many skeletons you can get up, and they're really each like a ghoul. So they're very good and very expendable. But at this point, it's basically separating into 2 battles. Dimension is kind of not, even out with his, but I'm definitely losing mine. And I'm just getting up a statue now, so I don't really have a lot of options at this point other than to just mass up more fiends. I've got the statues, and I've got that level 3 Crypt Lord, so he's nice and powerful now. But without the fiends in the back, they don't do anything. And so that's just my goal at this point, just to get more fiends. So let's speed this back up to normal speed, guys, in 3, 2, 1, normal speed. Okay. Now, my Death Knight gets away here. That's just luck on my part, really. And at this point, it's a 2v1. So I don't really know why Volander's sticking around. I guess to try and kill the Crypt Lord, but... Now, we finally got them to back off, but as you can see, Dimension went straight to tier 3. I would definitely say it was a very risky, very bad move, to be honest. As you can see, we've had to micro constantly to stay alive in that. I would say as the Orc player, if the Undead player is going to go Fiends like that, you got to really mass up the Grunts. Now, if I had gone CL in this game, we hadn't had a tank, I think we would have lost probably. Now at this point, Dimension is getting lust. He doesn't have any shamans. I don't know. I don't really think his tech was particularly effective in this game. Simply because it's not... I mean, we had to fight so hard and it's not really paying off yet. But, yeah, so I would say with this combination, it's important to take advantage of that tier 1 combination, which is why I prefer this matchup to any other. Simply because Grunts and Fiends mix very well. Unlike, Fiends and Footmen do not mix well, and so that's and I think you really got to take advantage of that in this matchup. You'll see right here now how very effective it is. Even though Dimension only has a couple of Grunts, combined with my Crypt Lord and that one statue means those Grunts can last forever. In a Grunt versus Grunt battle, that statue is going to make that one Grunt have like 300-400 more hit points over the course of the battle. So I think it's important to take advantage of that also. Now at this point you'll see that I have 6 Fiends now, and at this point I can really start to focus fire. And as I was saying before, it's important when you're focus firing, if your opponent pulls back the Grunt or whatever you're focus firing, it's very important to not chase after it, because that defeats the purpose of the entire strategy, which is to keep your Fiends in the back where they're most effective. So basically, if you see them pulling back and you can't finish them off, then just retarget, or tell them to stop or something, or just A-click. And you can see here we're in perfect formation at this point. The statues are, well, the statues are not in perfect formation. The statues optimally would be between the Fiends and the front melee line, where they can heal everything, with the Fiends behind them. But they're not in a bad position per se. They're just not in a good one. But as you saw before, we had the heroes, beetles, grunts in the front, and the range units in the back, and that's like, if you can keep that formation against an opponent with mass melee, you're pretty much going to win the game. And that's how to really beat the dual grunt thing, is to keep your formation. If they use speed scroll and they get around you, you're gonna lose. And it's hard to deal with, and kind of why I don't like twos as much as solo. Simply because if you don't have very good coordination with your ally, it's very important that you have an ally that thinks like you do and is going to react like you do. So anyway, that's game over. Hopefully you guys learned some good stuff about queues and what I like to do in that and all that. Let me know what you think. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this commentary, and I'll see you around.